The Works of Deepa Mehta by Chelsea, Susie, and Nicole. An interesting quote from Deepa Mehta reads, "So for me, while I'm writing the script or searching the film or even making the film, I'm still learning. So I never do a film where I think I know all about it because I think that's terribly boring. The process of exploration is what really intrigues me, and especially if it's on a subject that I really care about."
Deepa Mehta was born in 1950 in Amritsar in the northwest part of India. She is an independent Indian-Canadian film director who has an epic trilogy of films named after the element forces, which are fire, earth, and water. According to the article Deepa Mehta from database Biography and Content, she grew up with India's vigorous film industry in her blood. For her father worked as a film distributor, and she explored the experiences of women in her native India has placed Mehta in the midst of an intense controversy. She started off by being interested in a film career and majored in Hindu philosophy in the University of New Delhi. She later was married to Paul Saltzman for 20 years and had a daughter, then divorced in 1983. According to Deepa Mehta, she started off filming documentaries and series, then she later became interested in the Indian film industry, where she was curious and researched about it because she grew up in Canada.
According to McLean, an author from the Encyclopedia of Religion and Film, the first Indian feature film length was finished in 1913 by Palke. His silent film Raja Harishchandra made his works a legacy for future Bollywood filmmakers. The term Bollywood is a combination of Bombay, India, and Hollywood. Deshpande, an author from the Encyclopedia of Racism, said that there are three distinct meanings for Bollywood films: the film industry in Bombay, the film industry all throughout India, and the most popular of the roles of song and dance. Songs in Bollywood make or break the film. If the movie is a hit, the songs are sung by the characters are meant to help flush out their inner feelings. The roles of song and dance films are also influenced by Hinduism and contain melodramatic scenes, romance, and over-the-top focus to the eyes of the character. The most popular award-winning Bollywood film in the United States is Slumdog Millionaire.
According to Burton, Deepa Mehta's most popular films are Fire, Earth, and Water. These films make important statements against injustices against women in Indian society who are sometimes perpetrated in the name of religion. Mehta came up with an idea for a film 10 years before she made it when she saw an old widow by the river being ignored even when she was crying, and Mehta was curious and wanted to know more. Seeing this old widow made Mehta think about a movie that would focus on the religious views of widowed women in India, as her grandmother was a widow. This concept introduced her into creating a movie trilogy. Fire was to focus on the politics of sexuality, Earth about the politics of war and nation, and Water became about the politics of religion from a female point of view.
Mehta's first film, Fire, focuses on Radha, a middle-aged woman, and Sita, her younger sister-in-law. Both are neglected and mistreated by their husbands. This film documents the attraction, intimate friendship, and eventually turning into a lesbian relationship. When their secret is discovered, they leave their husbands and break free from the oppressive bonds of patriarchal control over the sexuality and identity. The controversies behind Fire caused an upheaval with the Hindu fundamentalists. They saw the film as a depiction of their religious beliefs against homosexuality. According to Burton, Hindu fundamentalists also regarded the film as a rejection of their sacrosanct values. Burton also mentions that the name of the characters Radha and Sita were named after and sought as exemplars of feminine virtue and devotion. Fundamentalists were angered by the depiction of these heroines. They burned down theaters and posters that were showing the film for Fire. Earth, Mehta's second trilogy film, is about the politics of nationalism and the violence that emerged in 1947 in Lahore, India. Mehta's film depicts the tension and violence that surrounded the British division of the country into India and Pakistan. Earth is told through the eyes of an 8-year-old girl as she watches friendships torn apart by religion and friends turn into enemies. Earth did not cause any upheavals like Mehta's film Fire Earth was a film that looked into India's dark past, which won many awards in the Indian film industry. This is a brief segment from Mehta's film Earth. It shows the violence of the Muslim, Hindus, and Sikhs had to face during the partition of India. People were murdered because of their religious background at the time that India was being divided by the British government.
The film Water is about an 8-year-old whose husband dies and she is sent to a widow's camp. As India's tradition, if your husband dies, you only have 3 choices, which are to burn with him, go to a widow's camp, or marry your husband's younger brother. According to Tina Dawn from the database Procrash, Triya, the main focus, who is the 8-year-old, she rebels against the tradition, and her youthful determination has a strong effect on the other widows, and one of them being Kalani, who is a woman who was forced into prostitution to support the camp. Kehlani meets a village intellectual who wants to free her, but ends up freeing Chuya, who is also forced to become a prostitute. In her film Water, Mehta wants to show sorrow of the widows, but she also wanted to show the spirit of woman. How do you say this? The city of... This movie takes place in 1938 India, the beginning of Gandhi's independence movement, according to Priestley from the database Academic One File. This took place in the holy city of Varanasi, where the Hindu fundamentalists took this film Water and viewed it as an insult to their faith. Mehta has also received death threats to be burned in infancy from her film, so she had to hire bodyguards for the cast and the crew. According to Burton, Water was the focus of well-publicized protests launched against it by Hindu nationalists, and about a group of 500 people tore down and burnt parts of the set in Varanasi because they saw the film as contaminating the sacred city and was an insult to Hindu culture.
According to Chupa Cornell, the artist as social critic defines or addresses the themes of injustice and oppression tied into realism. The artist in this case sets down their own values, goes against popular demand, going outside the mainstream way of art. Deepa Mehta and her works fit into the social role of artist as social critic because her films show act of injustice that happens with only the women. Most Indians are more accustomed to the traditional Bollywood films, which contain musical numbers, love stories, and happy endings. Mehta's films tell us stories on how the Hindu region affects the lives of women, something other Indian filmmakers dare not to show. According to Chupa Cornell, the artist as intellectual focuses on concepts and theories. The artist is considered as an educator of humanity and explores philosophical issues. Deepa Mehta and her trilogy fit into the role of artist as intellectual because in her movie Fire, Mehta explores the religious beliefs of Hinduism towards homosexuality, and in her film Water, it shows us how the women in India are truly treated and what widows must go through on a daily basis. Mehta's films show how women are treated because of their roles in their religion.
Mehta's trilogy Fire, Earth, and Water show examples of how Hindu culture and religion depict the lives of the women in India. Hindu fundamentalists tried censoring by destroying her film sets for Water, as well as receiving death threats. Fundamentalists burned manatee shows for Fire, but the filming of Earth brought no problems to Mehta's cast and crew.